So we're kind of like a David versus, 2 or 3 Goliaths. It's basically like, if we can be faster and more agile, we can beat those big companies to talent. Guys who are frontline, they need their paycheck. They can't miss a bunch of paychecks. And so we move really quick. Get in, get an interview, get an offer, get that background check started.
Life's too short not to work on cool problems with interesting people. And recruiting does that for us. Hey, everybody. This episode of Building the Talent Machine is brought to you by our sponsor, WellFound. If you're a recruiter like me, you're probably always looking for a smarter, faster way to find startup-ready talent. WellFound has you covered. It gives you instant access to a talent pool of 10 million plus startup-minded candidates from all around the globe. You can set up everything in just 10 minutes or less, from posting jobs to building your employer brand and managing applicants, with everything you need to kickstart your recruiting in one place. Need data? WellFound integrates seamlessly with your ATS and helps you stay organized without the chaos. And if you're ready to supercharge your sourcing, meet WellFound AI. Stop scrolling and start hiring. WellFound AI reviews hundreds of profiles each week. It reaches out using hyper-personalized templates, and when candidates respond, it manages the back and forth for you. All that's left is one click to approve, and your calendar fills up fast. So if you're ready to find, connect, and hire your team from pre-seed to IPO and build with the best startup talent out there, WellFound makes it happen. Check out wellfound.com and see how fast you can tap into the startup talent ecosystem. Now, let's go build a talent machine. What's up, everybody? You're tuned in with Brad Clark, head of talent acquisition at Article. What's up, Brad?
Hey, man. It's Friday. It's my finish up my week strong.
Heck yeah, dude. Man, this is a long time coming. I've followed your content for quite some time. I've got multiple pieces of Article furniture in my home. But where are you based? What are you working on for people who may not know you from the internet?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm in Vancouver, Canada, which is also the headquarters of Article. Although we sell mostly in the US, we're actually a Canadian-based company. And I am the head of talent acquisition. So my world is consistent a lot on process design, doing a lot of interesting stuff with AI, and a lot of employer brand stuff. We drive really big on inbound hiring. That's pretty big for how we work. So that's my world.
Heck yeah. The show is Building the Talent Machine. How are you thinking about building the talent machine in 2025 for the roles you're working?
Yeah, I love the idea of talent machine in itself too, because I look at it like machine. It's a system, and all the parts you're constantly trying to put together correctly and optimize. For us, so in Vancouver, there's actually a lot of cool retail companies which are huge. And so there's Lululemon, which is a monster. Aritzia is a monster. Arc'teryx is up here, and they're growing like crazy. And so we're kind of like a David versus 2 or 3 Goliaths. I look at this in the sense of my focus is asymmetrical. It's kind of like asymmetrical warfare. I don't like use the term warfare, but it's asymmetrical advantage. And it's basically if we can be faster and more agile, we can beat those big companies to talent. And that's really important. And so that's how we win. But I can't go toe to toe. So that's the way I look at this. And our whole system is designed around this, from the content we create to either attract or repel, into how we run an agile process. We post our jobs only for a few days, and then we take it down, and then we go run the process. We move at speed, but there's a lot of stuff to move at speed. It's easy to say go fast, but there's actually a lot of work to go fast up front, and then that allows us to get there quickly.
That's one of the things that I appreciate and noticed about you off the jump is you communicate, you're super laid back, but on the back end, man, you've just got it locked down. If you're able to figure out these application windows, have a really tight rec ops system. Because I'd imagine, you're working both corporate and then distribution and warehouse facility roles. Those have very different processes from how you acquire applicants and process them through offer. Can you share a little about that?
Yeah. So, speed wins on both cases. So speed is still the advantage. The big difference, for our frontline, so we have these giant warehouses. They're the size 5 Costco's. They're just absolutely enormous. Just packed full of all of our furniture, and then that gets sent out to our distribution chains. But speed still matters for that. The difference is actually might even matter a little more, to be honest. And so guys who are frontline, they're on the market and they need their next paycheck. They can't miss a bunch of paychecks. And so we move really quick. And so for those roles, I think the biggest thing is get them in the door. And limited interview is just get in, get an interview, get an offer, get that background check started. We've got to do, kind of drug tests and all those kind of things. But we've just been constantly trying to optimize half day that all those things add up, especially in that world, because they just need, the sooner I get them in the door, then they're good. But I get it. There's this anxiety about hey, I got to pay my bills, I don't know. And so So you're literally competing against big companies. You're also competing against like sign on the outside of a warehouse being like hiring now, walk in, get a job. It just runs on the corporate side. The biggest thing for us is having capacity plan. And so we borrowed a lot from Agile. And so we use a t-shirt sizing capacity plan, which means because all roles aren't created the same. And I think one of the biggest downfalls for TA is they open up too many jobs. They don't have enough time to actually look at the people. They don't have time to move. And so you lose speed. And so we limit it. I limit the number of roles each recruiter can work on, but that's not the same. Because if I say, hey, you're working on, that's a different amount of work required. And so, but the other variable is, how mature that hiring manager is as a hiring manager. So what I do is I trust my team to make that decision. So teacher size medium is just an average role, and then it goes up to like an XL, which would be, but that isn't based on title, because we might have actually a really easy direct role to hire. It might have a really hard and challenging new, specialist like junior role, but it's rare in the market, or that hiring manager is brand new. They need a lot of hand holding. So the team's allowed to decide how, is it a size small or is it an XL or anything in between. And so that limits the amount of roles they can work on based on how much hand holding or how hard that job's going to be. And so that's number one. Like that constraint model is huge. And I see it as a constant thing, where TA just opens the floodgates, and then these people sit there, they go stale, they get frustrated, candidates are choked at you. Managers are going, what's going on? Then they reach out, use agencies, and that just adds an added level of confusion in, so to speak. So we control that process. And the capacity model is so freaking key for how we do things. So
You
I
sound
got
like a
pause.
really good boss.
I geek out in this stuff, man. So I geek out. So interrupt me because I love this stuff.
No,
So
it's
yeah,
proactive versus reactive hiring. If you're thinking about capacity planning, recruiter happiness, hiring manager maturity, man, like anybody would be beating down the door to work with you if you have recruiters' backs the way you just described. Um, when I think about
it's
capacity,
important.
are you working
Yeah.
Rex too? Like, do you get in the trenches and roll up your sleeves?
There's been a few times like with like people on vacation, other things, like I'll jump in. I try to kind of stay off the tools, so to speak, as much as I can, but I'll jump into the ATS, I'll go through resumes, I'll help the team out, especially if we go through a big push. But the whole point of the capacity model is we run a backlog. If we don't have capacity, we don't open it. But
Love
what's been
it.
interesting is since introducing this, we hire faster. Our capacity's increased. By saying no, you can do more. By saying
Yes.
yes, you can do less. I know it sounds like, you look at like a software development team, every agile team in the world with, you don't go, hey, work on 100 user stories and do 10%. You go, do 10 stories and do 100%. And then the next 10. Every software engineer would look at you if you said, why would you not do everything at once? They go, why in the world would you do that? But
Yep.
somehow in recruitment, we think this is a good idea. Just open the floodgates and do a little bit across all of them. And somehow that's, leave it open, gather some resumes, do this. And I don't know where it comes from, to be honest. I struggle with
I
it.
think it comes from recruiters being an administrative function that doesn't really have a seat at the table and
Yeah.
being like yes men to hiring managers and being reactive to the business saying like, oh, sweet, yes, we can go do that. And there's this narrative of like, oh, give white glove service and just take orders from the business. But it really comes down to strategic alignment at the C suite, top down, talent as a strategy, talent acquisition as a product, and thinking as advisors and saying like, hey, we can deliver the best product to you, which is our recruiting service, when we do things this way. And here's how we're going to get
Yeah.
there. Here's how we're going to measure success. So I want to know, from capacity planning and recruiter happiness, what are your top line metrics that you're looking at like the recruiter level, and then what you're flying up the flagpole to the C suite?
Yeah, I mean, time to hire is really big. The other one is I really care. So we send a survey out to every candidate, regardless of if you were interviewed or not. So our applicant track system says an automatic survey when you either rejected or it's closed. That sends out, I think it's 5 days after. So it's not too long, not too soon, so you're not too bitter, and not too long, so you kind of forget about it. It feels like you're kind of rubbing dirt in someone's face after they get kicked down. And so we ask them questions on, how was the overall process? 1 to 10 is the CSAT score. But we had some questions on like, how was the application process, all these things. But the number one thing I care about actually is, will this change your likelihood to buy from article? And that's huge. And so I look at
Yep.
this, and that's what I care about, because ultimately, like, we're, consumer brand. And these candidates, and so I heard an interesting talk from the former head of McDonald's TA. This was he's at Paradox, and this was at Disrupt. And he talked to this idea of like, they've got this like 99% match of customers to candidates. Like their overlay between the two is like identical. There's only maybe 1% of people who want to apply there may not eat McDonald's, but pretty much everyone does. I kind of mapped it out. I said, based on our customers, it's about 47%. So 47% of our jobs, the type of work and the compensation would align to who probably buys our furniture and location as well, because we don't always sell where we hire people on. And so I was looking at this, I was like, hey, I get 20,000 applicants. Of them, almost half are potential customers. And you have a bad experience. Like, you don't just keep it to yourself. You have a bad hiring experience. Like, you're telling your partner, telling your friends, because they're going to ask you, hey, I got the interview. How'd the interview go? Hey, you applied to that job. Hey, you hear back? And it's like, if you got ghosted, if you had a bad experience, you're telling everybody. And so, like,
Yep.
it's a multiplier effect. So those 10,000 people who are potential customers is now way bigger as potential non-customers. So it's really important to get this right. So I look at that. That's huge. So time to hire is huge, because that means, like, hey, the machine's working. And if it's not, then we can dive into other metrics. But that's like the number one thing. Like, that thing's got to work. Second one is, are the candidates actually happy in that experience? And then the third one is I send a CSAT score to our hiring managers and get to, like, the service. And that's something which is, I look at that and I can give feedback, everything else, because we're just constantly, like, how do we optimize? How do we treat them like an actual customer? Even though they're internal, they're still, we're there for them.
I love that. I love this service mindset, but not being a doormat. I think that's the
Yeah.
key to future-proofing yourself as a recruiter is, can you communicate? Can you influence without authority? And can you align expectations with hiring managers in a way that empowers us as recruiters to deliver excellences in recruiting? Is candidates that are happy, retained, developed, driving referrals, all those things that we need to make the talent machine fly.
Yeah. I was on a call yesterday and there was a bunch of other TA leaders, and people started going down this rant complaining about they open jobs before they do an intake call and the whole problems which happened passes. And I'm just like, why would you allow that? I mean, like, let alone capacity. Like, that's a bit more advanced. I get it. But, like, if you don't do an intake call, you actually don't know what they're looking for. You're just wasting everyone's time by saying yes. And it's just like, it blows me away because they're complaining, oh, yeah, we just open the jobs. And it's like, why? Why would you? Like, it's your process. Own it. Put that barrier. We can't serve you until you do this. We're not opening these jobs up.
Not every role requires, deserves, and earns an intake where the hiring manager tells recruiting what they need. We have the information. We know what's happening in the market. So if you're hiring specific roles, particularly with like a first-time hiring manager, I'm sure you've had this scenario. It's like, why would you let a first-time hiring manager who just got promoted from an IC 2 months ago tell you what they think they need? Talent as a product needs to own talent mapping, communicating needs of the business, and being able to look at some of those post-hire success metrics to inform the hiring process and tell the hiring manager what to expect.
There's a huge education piece there. But I mean, ultimately, I look at this, I look at it very similar to real estate. You talk to a realtor about buying a place and you go, hey, I'm looking at this neighborhood. I've got this budget. Here's my ideal wish list. Give me some options, and then you go and you assess them and then you figure out what it is. But ultimately, the realtor doesn't buy you a house. And so this idea too, like, people have this idea that recruiters or TA hire. We don't hire. I look at this like provide viable candidates.
Yep.
And based on and sometimes we can. Sometimes we need to come back and say, sorry, like this comes down to, often it's champagne taste beer budget. It's just unrealistic, or Frankenstein rolls with other kind of things, and it's up to us to say no. Like, you might want that fancy house, but realistically, right now you got a budget for a townhouse. That's cool. Let's get a good townhouse.
Yep.
Like, let's just and let's talk about what that looks like now. Let's reassess and readjust. But saying yes and just hoping magic happens is because, like, to your point, we have the data, we have the expertise. Like, you're not actually doing them a service if you're not pushing back.
And every company says they hire, develop, retain the best talent. Well, like, the best is not necessarily the best. You hire the best talent that's in market at the time for the role and the value proposition you're offering that aligns with your compensation philosophy, your EVP, your values, your mission. So it's like, sometimes we don't speak with enough clarity when it comes to crafting a strong employer brand message. And that's something that I've picked up on your content, the way you communicate. It's very specific, but it's not these like big, frothy, broad strokes of hyperbole. And I so appreciate that clarity, especially when it comes to recruiting for a retail brand. Like, yeah, you've got corporate roles, But at the end of the day, it's like these are the people that are building your furniture that's going to show up at your house. It's a physical product. I'm
It's a physical
literally
product.
looking at article and that brand is in my home. I love this concept of last mile recruitment.
I think one of the things is so many organizations try to sell their brand as aspirational. I want a brand to be real. Last thing I want is
Mm.
someone to come in thinking something, because I mean, this is whether you're ultimately if you're selling something, where people get upset is when it's not aligned. Like the marketing doesn't meet the product. The marketing hype doesn't meet, and the product, you get the product, you go, that's not that good, you know. And I look at this, it's like I want our how we message, how we communicate that process to reflect reality, and for people to opt in or opt out. Like I forget who says, someone kind of compared it to like you want your brand to be like cilantro. You know, it's like you love it or you don't. Like there's very few people who are like, oh yeah, like cilantro, yeah, it's okay. It's one or the other. It's very polarizing, and we want it to be very real. We've got a bit of a challenge, and this is something I've been working on. I'm in 5 years of Article now, and I'm still working on this. Is we have a really fun, playful brand for our product, and it's really cool. Like you see our website and our furniture, it is beautiful, and how we talk about it is like really cool and fun and playful. We're actually like a really serious company, and we're a company like we got really fun people in that company, but we take work serious. We're big. We're founded by software engineers. Like these guys are, not furniture fun retail guys. They're engineers, and so they're big on data, they're big on debates, they're big on reasoning, and so we work like a tech company, and people don't realize that, and so like it's been really hard to delineate those two brands between this fun, cool furniture, product brand versus actual. We have fun people who work really hard and
Yeah.
have hard conversations. Like I said, you need data, you need to debate, you need to do all these things. So that's been my ongoing mission, so to speak, is really trying to make it as real as possible about who we are, not aspirational, and not conflate those two brands.
It's so interesting because a lot of the times there's this public perception of when see a household name or a household company, whether it's retail, e-com, just something you're familiar with higher, you get really excited because you're like, oh my God, I love Nike sneakers. Well,
Yeah,
like the experience is often different on the backside, especially in like consumer packaged goods or physical products, because the margins are razor thin compared to, say, a software company where you can have some more aspirational messaging. It's a little bit more vapid. But when it comes to like hiring for retail and well-known companies, like it's an interesting paradox. Um, Shout out to the callback
there you
for
go. Yeah,
your mention of Josh Seacrest. But yeah,
yeah,
it's a total paradox, man. It's kind of like Patagonia when Yvon Chouinard wrote "Let My People Go Surfing," and like Patagonia, 15, 20 years ago, their headquarters in Ventura, California. And like, yeah, they got 50, 100 people working at the corporate office. And when it's, popping off, like, yeah, they go surfing. But the reality is, like, Patagonia is a retail store and they have a store on Pearl Street in Boulder that sells t-shirts. So like, no, the philosophy of let my people go surfing for the corporate employees is not going to be the
yeah,
administrative policy for a frontline worker folding t-shirts in a retail store that has to be there for a shift. Like
yeah.
you're not going to go hiking because it's a sunny day. Like your job is to fold t-shirts. And I think that's something that people conflate a misconception around when they see like these sexy household names hiring, where how do you align authenticity? And you're doing it really well. The compliment portion of this monologue is now the video that you dropped last week. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, like behind the scenes warehouse video?
Oh no, that's actually in our head office. So we're lucky enough. So we actually have like production in house. So which is really cool. So we have production and every once in a while I'm able to steal some of their time off the side of their desk and do some videos and some we're ramping up a little bit more right now. But so what we want to have was, so we have this really cool space and we have all these people with different backgrounds. And what I've noticed in the past was a lot of DEI type messaging. Again, it's just really on the nose and it's aspirational. And I mean, I always use the term like rainbow washing, and I don't feel comfortable like even kind of like articulating this. 'Cause I'm probably not the best person to do it, but we have this office. We live in a city which is like a very multicultural city. We've got this team of people from all different backgrounds. Here's people who look like you. They have different backgrounds and different ages and style wise different, but they also show up and are comfortable enough to be themselves. Like this is the first company I've ever worked at where I've worn like shorts at work. Like I've been, from like suits a lifetime ago and then the slowly devolving. And it's just like, I show up, I'm rocking a Star Wars t-shirt. Like this is exactly how I would wear up at work. Our CEO, he's in jeans and shoes and like t-shirts and this kind of stuff. I want people to feel comfortable and welcomed.
Mm.
And I didn't want it to be so blunt. I didn't want to be like, some sort of grandiose message like all are welcome here and anything else. I just wanted to have this idea of just let's highlight some of the people, and it's not tokenism and not on the nose. Like, just here's some people, and maybe you look like this person. Maybe this person's, you see their smile on their face, or you see a little kind of like pep in their step, and you're like, yeah, that looks cool. I can be here. I feel safe and comfortable being here. I could do some good work here, and that's it. And it doesn't have to be. It's just short and sweet, and like had a little bounce to it, and that's all I want. I think people overcomplicate it, and I want everyone to apply, and I don't want it to be a blocker, feeling like you're not going to be
Yeah.
welcomed here because you are.
I love that. I've got anecdote around that, but before I hit it, let's go back because I want to ask you what your systems are for hiring corporate and like warehouse distribution center. Is it the same tech stack, same application process?
So when I started Article, we were 200 people. We had a pretty big basic ATS, and I was like, and we had no talent acquisition function, and so it was totally decentralized. Wild West, hire your own people, HR to kind of help when they could. And then we went through this like hyperscale moment. I think got COVID. And so building a whole function from scratch, building a team from scratch. And then I was like, this system's going to fall over. We need to replace this ATS. And so I did want to run two systems. That was my biggest thing, is like, I need one system, which is like easy to use. That was really big too, right? So it had to be just like smooth for everyone. I landed on Pinpoint, which at that time was really new to North America, which is really great timing for us because, they want our feedback, and like we were kind of a premier client to them. I'm a product guy by like, and systems guy by nature is how I think, and so I think that also worked out well. They're like, hey, this, you're gonna get some real feedback, and it works. Like it's great for our front line, it's great for our corporate. Like the application process is easy, it's powerful enough. We've got tons of automations in this thing, and that saved us honestly. Like as we've gone through this flood of applications in the recent years, we've just, we're probably about 20% of people are rejected through automations at this stage right now.
Okay. Automation being like knockout question.
Knockout questions. Yeah, we don't use any AI.
So this is not AI. This is like a recruiter sets a knockout question if you don't meet
AI
certain
makes
criteria.
no decisions. Yeah. However, the thing is what sucks is most people do knockout questions, and you just get the same generic email. Hey, thanks for applying. Sorry. Try again. Follow our brand or whatever that is. With each knockout question, we have a different automation which sends a specific email explaining what that was.
Nice.
And that also allows you, because sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes they click the wrong button. And so we send it quickly. So that way you find out quick, because nothing sucks more than waiting. Apply it and I didn't hear back, or I didn't hear back for a long time. And then, so you hear right away, and also gives you a chance, like maybe just select the wrong thing. Go, oh, hey, actually I am legally authorized to work in Canada. I just rushed it. Boom. You click yes, reapply. Great. Like we don't want to lose you because of that. And so otherwise you don't know why you got rejected, and so we make it really easy. You got rejected because you didn't meet this minimum requirement. It's what we need to hire for. But if you're wrong on this, fire back in again. Like, let's go.
I love that. I mean, it's not on the fault of the ATS. Like they want to help recruiters. They load things up with templates, but I feel like people just plug and play in recruiting with templates. And it's like, why wouldn't you write to an audience of one? Why wouldn't you identify yourself as your name, even if it's coming from no reply, because you don't want your email inbox spammed, especially if you're working for a retail company that gets, 10,000 applications a month. But yeah, dude, I'm right there with you, because there are times where candidates, especially if they're applying from a phone, I mean, this is like a big iPhone, whatever, but like there's smaller ones than this. Like when you're selecting a little question in your ATS, like you hit it on the head, like give them the rationale and allow them to nurture the brand experience of what it's like to interact with the company, even if they don't speak to a human. And also just write how you talk. Like the rejection letter, man, like just deliver it exactly how you would deliver it if you were on the phone.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, I mean, we do template everything, but we write, we just focus on making it accessible and not corporate. That's how we talk at work. And so it's just like, how do we make it? And so that's one of the things I think ChatGPT has been fantastic for, is running all your comms through it and set expectations. And not just say simplify it, but actually put an expectation on a reading level. And so say, I want this to be readable by a grade 5 reading level. And that's, and I know it sounds kind of like a low level, but that's about what most newspapers write at, most websites, about a grade 5 or 6 reading level. Read that and it'll make it simple. Like, don't use jargon, don't use other things. Just talk.
Are you using AI in any other use cases for your team that you can chat about, or how are you thinking about AI second half of the year in 2025?
So we don't have anything in the hiring process for AI. We make that clear. We also state that for the candidate as well. So that's very clear. So they're aware of it, because there's a lot of misnomers saying an AI bot rejected. And it's like, no, we just move quick. So we want
Yeah.
to make people also understand that. Where we use AI is actually more on the planning side. And so, AI is a really cool tool. Right now, it's a tough labor market, and so people are using it to enhance or even, I don't know, be fraudulent on their resume, and say some things they didn't do. Also, everyone has a AI cheat sheet when it comes to question answer interviews. And so that's really tough too, because you can just practice and memorize. Like if I know a little about something, I could probably get through a lot of interviews by just a lot of prep.
Yeah.
And that's hard. Most managers you might hire once a year, twice a year. You're not really good at digging deep, and that's hard to train unless you practice and build that muscle up. And so we're using AI. We built a custom GPT, which we're beta testing right now, and we feed a bunch of it asks a bunch of prompts and questions, so it automatically asks you these things. And so we go through the hiring manager, talk about what type the job is, what someone's going to look like in this role, and then it feeds in the job posting, and then it builds out the interview plan. So it builds out questions. Again, it's not saying it's 100%. It's like an 80% starter, and then we take that adjust. But the big one is we're shifting over to working interview sessions, and so we want to get away from question and answer. Well, what I want is I can rehearse that, but if you get me on a whiteboard and you say, hey, draw up how recruitment works. I can't fake that. And then you sort of, like build a recruitment, say if you're interviewing me, you say, hey, build a recruitment machine, so to speak, for this type of organization. How do you do it? And I start getting a whiteboard and start drawing and you say, here's some data. Here's what this looks like. I can't fake that. You
Yep.
know that or you don't. And so that's the thing is we want to get people on the whiteboard. We want to get them understanding how they think, how they take feedback. Because that's the big one too. It's not just on the outcome. It's actually what questions are you asking? What if I throw you a curveball midway? And so your adaptability and resilience is really big. And so that's where we're shifting things to, because you just can't fake that. You can't fake the whiteboard. But it was so hard to build this stuff up manually. Like it was always a dream to do this, but you just couldn't. There wasn't enough time to build up these things unless you're hiring repeatedly over and over again. But literally, this custom GPT puts out 3 scenarios. I can adjust them on the fly. I can merge them together in minutes. Stuff that would
It's
take
amazing.
hours or days. It's incredible. So that's probably the biggest use case. We've got that. We've got a lot of our best practices. We've got a custom GPT for that, so that way their hiring managers, people can actually ask us how and why we do certain things. And so obviously come talk to us, but we know it's not always the case. Someone doesn't have time. So you can actually understand our strategy and everything else and just ask this GPT these questions on our behalf. One of the new ones too, we're working on a offer presentation GPT, which takes into account, because offers are different. Like people negotiate different in the United States versus Canada versus Vietnam versus Mexico. We hire in all those areas. And so, we don't want to pay our lowest. So the idea is not to grind people down, but the idea is to pay people fairly and how to anticipate and not go through a back and forth as much as possible. So it actually walks someone through what the numbers are. It takes in cultural considerations, like you're hiring in Vietnam. Certain numbers are actually like have negative connotation to them. And so we take in those cultural considerations for
Oh,
what that number
interesting.
looks like. Yeah, getting to a precise number, because again, you give an offer, let's say it's 90,000 or 95,000, you're going to negotiate on 10,000 or 5,000 or increments. If I offer you to say 94,300, you're going to come back and say, okay, the negotiation increments are smaller when you get to more precise numbers. So we bake all this stuff bake in our comp philosophy, everything else, but it's just a coach. It's a coach to be like, how do I present this offer fairly and ultimately get the talent we need? So so the back end tools we're using AI for they're
Sick.
sick. It's awesome. Like I love it. And that's just a start. That's why I look at this. Like this is like a transitionary technology. We're just figuring this out, but I'm blown away with what we're doing already.
Dude, I love it. You know where my mind went immediately is like you could do such fun stuff with consumer brands that have really good recruitment marketing toolkits or things you can borrow off the side of the desk from marketing. Like you mentioned, it's like, man, you could have ChatGPT run like a 6-slide talk track and offer presentation, rip it into a Canva template with article, have you presentation mode in the bottom corner, like, hey, what's up, Brandon? It's Brett. I'm so excited to give you this offer. We're going to break it down in these slides, custom link that out, push it through them via
I
DM on
know.
LinkedIn. It's like, dude, this is the future. This is how we
Yeah.
get candidates engaged.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. It's just, I get so hyped when I talk to people who get it, and it's just like, there's so much. I feel like we're just scratching the surface right now and just getting people there and getting understanding. And so,
I
I mean,
remember
I
the
think,
first time I sent somebody a video. I sent like a candidate. I was like, yo, dude, I'm going to hit you with this offer. Congratulations. So excited. And just meeting the candidate where they were in their channel on their medium, which was like a
yeah,
phone DM after they had given like permission because they were engaging with me via text. It's like, there's no one size fits all. There's no rules. Like there's no emergency room. Like break the toolkit, make cool experiences for folks at an individualized level.
And test things out. I think that's the thing too, right? Like test it out. It's not like you have to go, every offer needs to be this way, or we need to always do this. I'm a big believer in just using like an agile process. Just get a V1 out, test it out. Did it work? Did you learn something? Maybe it just fell over and failed what you tried. That's okay, cool. Learn from it. Do something different. Like I feel like it's not an emergency room here, like your point. Like we've got some, we can try things out here. It's not life or death. So
is there anything that you want to see accelerated in talent acquisition from like an AI technology process perspective, where you're just like, man, I wish we did things like a little bit more fun or cooler, almost as if you had an iPhone in the middle of Times Square in the 80s?
Oh, holy cow. That's a wild question. If I had something super fun there, I think that, and everyone's talking this forever, like resumes are not a good way to evaluate people. I think there's gonna be some interesting stuff. I was Boom Band, I think, is doing some really cool stuff. That and like Jeff's new and world. I saw a preview of that yesterday, and that blew my mind. So I think just something which shows the whole person beyond just the resume and takes into account who they are and why that's going to work for them as a person, not just as someone who can do a job. Something around that. And I mean, maybe Boom Band's going to figure that out, or someone else will, but resumes are not good. And it's the best thing we have, but it sucks.
That's a good call out. Anything that keeps you up at night where you're like, oh man, this just pisses me off about recruiting?
Everyone thinking they're an expert who's not. So everything from like, I see people who are like snake oil salespeople saying like how to beat the ATS on LinkedIn and posting stuff like this. And I was like, Amy Miller's probably the best person at squashing all those people, and she does a great job, but it's like a reoccurring theme about this, like people who don't actually understand how it works, telling you how it works. And you're like, you're not even in the space. And you see these career coaches and other people, and I'm like, this is just really being like just genuine and taking advantage of people who are searching for a job, which is not cool. Yeah. So there's that side, which sucks, because I'm like, that's really not cool. The other side is we get hiring managers who are like, I know how to do your job better. I don't go to my doctor and say, hey, I know how to do this better, or my mechanic and say, I know how to fix my car better. It's like, this is all my team specializes in. This is where experts in this area. We're here to help you out. Like ultimately, like it's your hire. We just want you to be, to make the best hire possible. But like, there's people who like, and that's that hiring manager maturity model. Like when people are early stages of that, either they're opinionated, misinformed, like not up to date, and resistant. Like, so it takes a long time. Like we work with those people, we break it down, we get them there, but it's just hard when you start there. It's just like, I want to be a partner. We want to work together. So those things. So just misinformed on either end, from hiring manager to snake oil salespeople. That's
Shout out to Amy Miller. I feel like she at the same time is both like sage lecturer holding court, and then at other times she's just straight up the hall monitor where she like locks something down. She's like, no, nope, not happening here.
Yeah, I love it.
So
just
good.
Calls it out. Yeah, and she can do it. Her authority. She's great, and she just gets it. So,
what's one thing you think a recruiter can do on Monday to build a better talent machine?
Yeah, learn how to say no and be prepared to like challenge that and just keep pushing back, saying no. That's huge. So I'd say I'm gonna give an added part. The one thing I think TA leaders can do is stop tracking individual metrics on individual recruiters. Care about your team performance instead of like each individual, and losing that sales like mindset where it's just like, you gotta make a quota, you gotta make certain calls, you gotta do this. Like, it's team performance. And sometimes like a team member can help, because otherwise people don't help each other out. And so like that's huge for creating that culture. Individual is like say no. TA leader also say no, but also like measure team metrics, not individual metrics. Because honestly, an assist should count as much as the goal. And having that person help someone out is super huge. Like, and we don't care about that stuff. We don't know what's happening, how the teams interact with each other. And like, if they support each other and care about each other, that's when they're not being individually, they're not competing against each other. I just want to win the game as a team. We all play different roles, and we're all cool to play different roles. Sometimes you're gonna get the shots, sometimes you're gonna get the assist. Either way is great. Sometimes you're a grinder who's just out like helping, play some hard defense or whatever that takes. Like, just play your roles and help each other out. Sorry, I sound preachy. I feel like I'm on a soapbox, dude.
No, I
but I
love
think
it.
it's important.
It's like one team, one dream. Like that's the thing, man. Like working with an awesome team when you got the glue and you've got a great leader, that's the fun ways to build. Life's too short not to work on cool problems with interesting people, and like recruiting does that
Yeah.
for us.
It keeps it always interesting. You're constantly solving problems. That's one thing. Like if you are in recruitment and you don't like solving, if you like making people happy, you're in the wrong game.
Yeah.
If you like solving problems and learning, this it's a lifetime. This is you'll love it.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask, what is Keeyora? Tell us about that.
Outside my life at Article, I'm a co-founder of a HR tech company called Keeyora, and it's a text messaging platform for talent which connects to your ATS. I'm on the day to day, so my co-founder Brian, CEO, he runs that machine, so to speak. But basically, it plugs in, say, you're using Greenhouse or Smart Recruiters or Ashby or any of the kind of modern standalone ATSs. It's a Chrome extension, allows you to instantly text message candidates from a hiring process all the way into onboarding with a lot of smart automations and templates. And it's designed by real recruiters. Like we do demos and people just get it. You see it and go, oh, wow, this is good because you can't use your phone for this stuff. Like legally, there's a bunch of regulations for 10DLC, for TCPA. All that data is also on your individual phone, not on your ATS where it should be. So, and also sometimes cans can be creeps. And so there's also that part too. Like I don't want to give my number out to people I don't know. And, that can blur those lines between professional and not. And so we solve all those problems. It's really cool to see, people using it and growing. We're a bootstrap company. Like, so it's our money. We put in this. We intentionally didn't raise. We intentionally have just grown organically and slowly because we care about recruiters. Got some great partners, and it's just really cool to see it keep evolving. So that's Keeyora in a nutshell.
Well, Brad, it's really cool to see what you're building at Article. No pun intended. Keep it up. Like this is so fun. I'm excited to see more of what's coming out from your world, from your content. How can people stay in touch with you?
Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn. I love connecting to people. I mean, I love also. I mean, like if you're in the space and if you see me post something, like I also like challenges, and so like don't just smash that like button and be like, oh, I agree with you. Like if what I post or share you don't agree with, like I want to hear that too. Like tell me how to get better. Like we put stuff out there, so like engage with me. Don't like follow me, engage with me, challenge me. Like that's the stuff I love. Really eager just to talk to other people and learn. So
it's amazing. Brad, thanks for coming on and telling us how you're building the talent machine.
dude, this is awesome. I love the talent machine. You get some swag. We need some t-shirts. How can I get some stickers? Like I want some talent machine stuff, dude. That's like such a sick name. It's perfect. So seriously, like get that e-commerce store rolling, and let me send you some. Get some my sizing there. Get some swag behind.
Coming to a conference near you.
I love it. Smash that like button. Hit subscribe.
Thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, mate.